Welcome back, everybody, to another amazing edition of the USFL Podcast. We're live, baby. We got the USFL Playoffs. I mean, I forgot my light. We're going to turn it on now. Ignore the mess in the background. We're still packing. But I'd say I'm fairly confident, Zachy boy, that we know what the USFL Championship is going to be looking like next week. But before we get into that, I'm the rep representing USFL Newsroom, the number one source in USFL news. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, do we got a big week for you. It's a good week.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great week. And by God dang it, I think it might be the best week ever because I don't know about the best week ever, Zach. You know, you might have something to say counter to that, but it was a hell of a game last night. And at least you didn't get blown out like our Breakers boys over here. Because, I mean, you know what? At least they did this. They got some extra points on the board because it was, 47-7 or 40-7 at least?
It was 47-13.
Yeah, I mean,
they at least got another touchdown. We have a minute 31 right now left. Stallions are just kind of trying to ice this thing out. I mean, Magoo's not even on the field. He's wearing a WWE Champions belt right now on the sideline.
Fox Synergy, baby. Fox Synergy.
He's like starting to build up his own like character like the last few weeks now.
Right.
This week he was like fully like, I'm absorbing the crowd energy. I am into all of it. And that crowd came out and Pack Protective. Like that Pack Protective initiative that was on Facebook like the last week and a half, like a last week plus.
Luke
worked.
Miller putting in overtime on that, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, well, you should definitely talk about. I mean, look, them. You know, he's part of the. You know, he's part of the Thoroughbreds, which do an excellent job between those guys and company getting that all built together. So, yeah.
What a hell of a game! What a hell of a past 2 days. USFL After Dark. I mean, can they put every game on at 7 or 8 o'clock? Because holy smokes, last night, Zach, I was having heart palpitations last night with that flipping game. We didn't get overtime all season. We finally get it into the championship, or into the North Division Championship, rather, not the championship, but in the playoffs. Ooh, what do you think about that overturned overtime attempt there? You know, it went over. He didn't have control of the ball.
You got to bring that up.
Well, I mean, we're here. We're talking about it.
Well, and keep in mind, I knew I was going to answer that, but like, you know, it is still fresh. Credit if you watched any of me just going on Twitter and doing what that is me. Like that is not an act. That is how I am if I get into a game.
Oh, you were into it last night.
Maybe you hate it because you don't want to hear the yelling, but
oh, I was calling you too. I was going to give you a little rally speech. And
I missed that. I did miss on that, but look, in terms of what Mike called on that play, like we're talking Stevie fumbling the ball. He's not wrong. That is the rule. Like it didn't break the plane. Stevie Scott tried to play a little bit of hero ball there and tried to jump over the line, which maybe that was the thought that was the right choice. I don't know. It's not the reason they lost. I'll give you that. There's much more to why they got in that situation, but it still was like, it still hurts. It's like,
oh, it was a dagger,
putting that much pressure,
a dagger of a game, man, because I mean, there was a little bit of that game where it looked like the Panthers were gonna do it. I mean, they had their typical first half problems, and it looked like they were gonna have another second half comeback win. EJ Perry, my guy, I know I would assume you and most other Panthers fans are like, please bring that dude back for season 3. That's our guy. I mean, he might get picked up, though. He might end up being a backup. Similar, I mean, the game's over here. So the Stallions have officially pulled it out. I need to go make a little post over on social media. I should have been
That's okay.
a little prepared.
I'll keep time. It's all right. I mean, I'll buy some time for you while you're doing that. Massive win for Birmingham tonight. Honestly, it's kind of amazing. We were talking about this as we were jumping on the show and kind of prepping for the live stream. It's funny how like the community will talk about these games, and this is kind of a spring football trend where you'll see one game where people are like, this is going to be not the game of the week. It's going to be like the one that, maybe we should maybe we'll tune into the opposite side of this on the schedule, because in theory, two high-powered offenses, two pretty well put-together teams in general. Jesus, I mean, you think about back to the beginning of the broadcast for the South Championship, which Birmingham, again, as the ref said, they officially have clinched. So we have Birmingham taking on the Pittsburgh Maulers in Canton, Ohio, July 1st, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Best defense in the league versus what you can argue, at least coming towards the end, was finally coming together to look like and feel like the best offense in the USFL. Technically the Breakers ended the year that way, but right now the Stallions feel like everything is truly coming together at the right moment. And not to mention that last matchup they had during the season between the Maulers and the Stallions was one of the better games of the year. I mean, that ended on a freaking kick return touchdown with a good defensive stand. So fun times ahead for that. But it's amazing how that seems like we think we call and we think we feel like we've got to grasp which games are going to be the ones to watch. And then it flips the script and you see Birmingham come out. They wanted it more. Alex Magoo just in the zone. He could do no wrong.
A madman.
He could do no wrong.
Dude, from the beginning, they twisted his whole helmet. Full 360 around this dude, Ted.
He still has cuts on his face.
He came right back out.
Cuts on his face for
and
that.
I mean, 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. Most touchdowns all year from a single player. Sign him up there. Maybe even more than we had in the first year as well. I'll have to do a little bit of homework on that. I know this isn't the regular season, so I know this doesn't necessarily count in this conversation. But I'm thinking, and there's somebody behind the scenes in the USFL that's looking at not only the season's performance, but Magoo's performance tonight. And I've never been more confident that dude's picking up the MVP. This dude,
there's no way. I mean, I'm not even going to try to attempt to put someone else at that. Like, there were options at some.
Yeah, I mean,
at one
Mark
point
Thompson,
in the year.
all in, right?
Mark Thompson. Mark Thompson was there. There was a point in the year that was a discussion point. McLeod Bethel Thompson, I think, was making the case for a good chunk of the season, but we saw, stock rises and falls a lot of times with individual performances. Magoo just kept hitting up and up every week, it seemed. McLeod Bethel Thompson had a high rise, kind of, I think, stabilized at the end. And I think it feels like for his sake, in terms of how he is, he can evade the pocket if needed, but his line towards the end of the season kind of started deteriorating. It was didn't really help him out, didn't feel like it was getting him help as much as he was really needing to deal with. But yeah, Alex Magoo, I can't wait to see another week of this dude out there. I mean, talk about someone that, last year we watched go down with injury. He gracefully accepted a backup role, coming in, spelling Jamar Smith when Skip Holtz felt like they needed a spark, but basically it was Jamar's team. They let him do that. Comes in, wins a championship off of Jamar having to step away due to basically injury complications is the best way I can put it, because it never really got a clarification on that, I guess is the best way I could say. But steps away, he comes in, he delivers a game-winning touchdown. This year, roles flip. Jamar looks like he's hot. He gets knocked out. Alex Magoo gets hot. It takes a bit because they have to re-evolve their offense because of lost pieces. And now look where he's at. He had 25 touchdowns coming in, well over 2,500 yards total offense. And he just kills it tonight. 400 yards total offense, 5 touchdowns on his own, 4 through the air. The fourth one, the most impressive of the night, he's going off his back foot. Should have no reason getting that pass down the field. Throws a 33-yard touchdown strike. It's just incredible stuff we're seeing from this young man. And we're going to get him and the company seeing them play against a very highly talented defense with arguably the best story in the league, with a father-son tandem leading the way and flipping from worst to first. And someone I think said it best, and kind of as a joke in the Twitter comments about this yesterday, but they said it like this: from Pizzagate to championship contention.
Well, I'll tell you this. You know what Breakers fans are going to be looking like after today's game? Do you want to know? Do you want to see?
Well, they got a few things, but I want to hear what yours is.
This is it. They're going to be hiding their identity. They're going to say, I don't know, what are you talking about with these Breakers fans over here? You know, it's funny. I put these on. I don't really look that much different. The only thing is a little mustache here, but the nose, I think, is pretty accurate to size.
You grew more.
Yeah, exactly.
Hair.
My eyebrows got a little bit bushier. That's about the only difference. But anyway, Breakers fans worldwide right now hiding.
Kudos to you for a self-deprecating joke about your nose being large.
I mean, I can't help it. You know, this is why, you know, I don't like my side profile, but for the sake of like explaining it, I mean, that's a honker there, guys. I mean, I have no problems breathing. I'll tell you that much. I did get a haircut though today. You know, look at this, Zach. Hair reveal.
You got it trimmed up. You got to present yourself in a live format.
Look at that.
Again.
Put a little bit of gel in there. It's actually normal size. I actually like this look right here. This is called the scumbag.
The scumbag.
Anyway, but
whoa.
Still gonna wear the hat though. Sorry guys, but once it starts sticking out of the side of the hat like a clown, I know I need to get the cut. I need to get the clip.
So you're already. You can't do that. You definitely have to cut it at that point. But no, I mean, dude, we've had this discussion. Like you can do hair, but I think people like the hat anyway more. So, you know, honestly, I've been considering keeping the hat game myself. But as you can tell, I wear it back.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It holds your thoughts in. People think I'm crazy, but you know what?
It holds my thoughts in, or it drives me crazy.
Well, it depends on what your thoughts are.
I know, because I mean, I could have come on here and not worn this get up again and left it alone. But again, it was a fun game, even with 142 penalty yards that were very much present against Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
We'll dive into that. I'll dive in a little bit more into that in a second, because I do want to touch a bit more on just what we just saw. To list off the stats, James Larson, our good cohort at USFL Newsroom, and the man on the ground in Canton and in Detroit this year, along with Ducky over in Canton. I mean, Jesus, they've been doing
legend Ducky work
for without a doubt. Those guys have been doing work this year. I'm glad we're going to get to run into them at the championship. Here's the final rundown of the stats, Alex Magoo wise. 21 to 31, 310 yards, 10 yards a clip for passes, 4 passing touchdowns, along with 84 rushing yards, 1 TD, and the one that I love the most, that I think it's really been impressive how he's been able to maintain this number, because it's in the USFL so far up until this year with him, it's not been that. He had 139.8 QBR. That is near perfect QBR for any quarterback. A perfect QBR, just to clarify, it's a little bit up there, a little bit farther up there, but it's not too much farther up. It's 158.3. So you had minor errors tonight at best. I mean, you have to go back in and fine tooth comb a few things. Maybe a missed route here that you didn't get a read on, maybe an overthrown ball, but impressive evening. Fantastic night for him. And not to mention other characters too. Davion Davis, he's been constantly upping his game every week.
Going wild. He
had a fantastic game that is getting overshadowed because of Magoo, but still, you can't knock. He's been getting better every single week. Jace Sternberger showed up as well. I mean, Michael Petway, he had a few times where it felt like he stopped the route, but he's been a constant contributor throughout this offensive production and game. Deion Kane getting his own reps, and CJ Marable, who looks like didn't have as a severe injury as he did on his touchdown run. He did kind of walk it off and looked like he's been, second most all around yards for passing and rushing in the league, just behind Wes Hills. That offense really is coming into its own at the perfect time. Defensively, they're glad that they're going to get that they have their leader in Scooby Wright getting, he's healthy now, and at least he gets to, have a week under his belt, and now he's back at the most important time when leadership is vital, when you have to go and step it up once more against a team like the Pittsburgh Maulers, which, again, we know their defense in Pittsburgh, it gets the job done. It's the staple, but I think you'll point this out the most, Stefan, because you and I have talked about this a bit, is that you can't count them out. Last night when they were giving as much protection to Troy Williams as I have seen all year, where he's getting hit, but he's not taking bad sacks. He's maneuvering the pocket. He can make the case for make this a fun game. You give him enough opportunities, and that defense finds a way to slow down or get turnovers like Birmingham is susceptible to doing, which they have in these wins. They've had games like last week, gave up 3 turnovers against the Showboats and still pulled it out. Can't do that against Pittsburgh. Nope. And they were lucky to walk away from the Maulers the first time. Even though, yes, they were figuring out their offense, they only walked away because they got a really good coverage protection on a kick return.
Well, for sure.
That is the big deal. So that looms heavily. That defense came, and that was Alex Magoo's worst performance of the year was against the Pittsburgh Maulers.
Yep. Well, and you know what I say, and it's not just a me thing. I didn't make it up. I just call it like I see it. I don't write the rules. I don't write the laws. But they say, and I say, defense is the best offense. As long as they can stop the Stallions from doing what they did earlier tonight, which is just running wild, they have a shot. And I'll tell you this, you know it. These players, especially the guys that are returning from season 1, especially the coaches that are returning from season 1, they got a vendetta. They got a chip on their shoulder. They got a point to prove. We've talked about it already, going from worst to first in the North. But if you win that championship, baby, you're legit going from the worst to the first team. And you know the Maulers are looking at every piece of gameplay, every piece of footage, everything they can to break down any possible way to slow down the Panthers, slow down the Stallions, block Magoo, stop those receivers from getting the ball, and cutting out that run game. And I'll tell you, Jaron is in our chat. He is ready. He is there. He is watching. Yes. He's not even watching this game. He's watching games prior. He wants to see what the close game looks like because that's what he's out to do. Make it a close game. I've said it before. It doesn't need to be a pretty win. You just have to have more points than your opponent at the end of the game. And if there's anyone, I mean, well, the only one that could do it at this point. But I wouldn't count the Maulers out. Not one bit. They might have a 4-6 record going into the playoffs, but so did the Arlington Renegades and the XFL, and we might see history repeat itself twice in 1 year. And I'm not going to make my prediction yet. Those are reserved for SummerStock II. But boy, the underdog in me kind of loves those Maulers.
If you would have dropped that in here, I would have been like, how dare you? You have spoiled part of the magic of SummerStock is us getting to hold on to our picks till that very end of that show. But you didn't, and I expect none less. You obviously, I know you too well now at this point. So you did good. I obviously will not be doing that either, but hey, if I do have to echo sentiments, Pittsburgh, as I just have kind of stated, would not. I mean, look, if I take this game, Vegas won't take it as a flip or a pick 'em. That's what they call it, or our version of flip a coin, because in theory they're going to look at this and go, okay, overall roster and how the performances have been, you're going to probably have. I'm basically like the doctor 99.9%. recommended at the point of saying Magoo's the MVP, because you can't say 100% in advertising because otherwise that will be considered lying. So I do have to leave that open a bit, but the man's the MVP.
And he's got to be. He's got to be.
He has to be. So Vegas is going to look at that and go, they have the MVP on their side. They have been consistently scoring higher for the most part as the year's gone on. Defense has been healthier. They look at the Maulers defense, they'll probably go Maulers defense. I think you get like a line that's much closer than some people suspect. It'll be less than a possession, without a doubt. But they'll put the Stallions as the favorite on Fox Bet. But I put it as a flip a coin. I really do. I think if the Birmingham Stallions can't get pressure, much like the Michigan Panthers, then Pittsburgh's open game. That's the thing. We said in the last show, the Maulers, one of their worst position groups this year had been protecting the quarterback, and they did their job thoroughly just last night against one of the top teams in sacks and pressures. That's all I need to see. Like if you can hold that down, you can strategize to hold back Birmingham. I know they've been getting better at getting pressure lately, but to me, that means if you can stop one, you can stop all of them. So I got to put a flip. I really do. I think this will be a pretty exciting contest. Defensively, the Maulers, it's just going to be it's going to be their toughest affair all year.
Hey, here's one thing I want to do real quick before we get too far into this. Everybody that's listening, if you're watching, first, thank you. Sign you up. Hopefully you enjoyed the playoffs. Let us know down in the chat. Second, let us know if the audio is good. I'm just rolling. Test audio. What is this? Some kind of professional endeavor? Now, I will say professional endeavor. I don't know about you, Zach. I saw Fox had a whole new set of podcast studios out there. Oh, hey, dude, we're a podcast, bro. You know what I mean? Here's the other thing. Go on real quick.
No. It's fine. I can talk about Studio D all day. I don't want to take too much
Studio
time.
D? Sign me up. Even better. I didn't even know it was called that. Here's what I need everyone to do. If you're in the chat, sign you up. Go ahead, like the video. It helps the algorithm. Susan Wojcicki, sign us up. We also got a poll here right down the middle, 50-50, Stallions and Maulers. Go put your vote into the poll because right now we're legit dead heat, 50-50. I want to see what you guys think. Hopefully everybody's having fun tonight. Hopefully everybody's having a good time. Hopefully your team is headed to the playoffs. It's crazy, Zach. We are less than a week. Was it 5 days now from SummerStock II weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Day one, let's just run over the drill. Mm-hmm. Day one, 5 p.m. Eastern, we all meet up at the Pro Football Hall of Fame for a group tour of said Pro Football Hall of Fame. Come join the fun. Come join the laughs. It's all ages, baby. Bring the kids. Bring your grandma because we're having fun and we're going to look at some history because one day later, we're having the biggest party of the summer, baby. Right outside of Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, kicking off at 3 p.m. Eastern. We have a pregame show and tailgate. Like I said, right outside the stadium, right at the entrance. And before that Dylan Scott concert. So if you want, head over. Was it the southwest corner, something like that? I don't know. You'll find us. We'll be getting loud.
Yeah, southwest corner of Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. You'll be able to find us. It's at that gate in that corner. We'll have the graphic on our Twitter. We'll keep posting that consistently as the week goes on. You know us. We're going to make sure you know where we're at.
You'll hear me once I land. I get there Wednesday, baby. You're going to know when the ref is in Canton, Ohio, because ain't nothing loud like me living out there. I'll tell you what, Midwest is the best, but up in Detroit, we do it a little bit louder than they do in Ohio. They got better roads than us, so you know what? Sign them up. Everybody gets a thing. I get to be loud. They get better roads, whatever. But Saturday the 1st, I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this. We got a bunch of community members. We got Angelo from USFL Today. We got Ducky. We're going to be announcing how much we're donating to Giving America. And that's not a joke. That's a fact, Jack. That's the name of the charity that we're giving to. All the proceeds from the Ducky merch, which we're taking off the menu after the championship game. So if you want it, you better get it now because it's gone and it's gone for good. But like I said, all the proceeds go to a good cause. We also got our boy Luke Miller. Even though he said he wasn't sure if he was going to the championship, I got a sneaking suspicion, Zach, after this game tonight that we're going to see Mr. Miller in the house. I signed him up. I told him he has no choice. He's not getting out of it.
I'd be highly doubtful that if he doesn't show. I'd be shocked if he doesn't show up now.
No, he's got to be there.
He's already done trips out of the here. Diehard fan as it comes for a team. I mean, if anything, just be sad if he wasn't.
I'm kidnapping him. He has no choice.
I will, even with it being 4th of July weekend. This is the thing. Like, and I'll be honest with you. That part of the planning of this. If he hasn't gotten his ticket yet, I already know what's going to be a part of the problem. I will donate money to give him the ticket.
Well, you saw those prices are getting even crazier.
I'm just saying, I'll chip in easily because I would want him to be here so that he can, bring that energy, talk about the year. I mean, he's been doing a lot of good stuff down there, not just with us, but just building that community.
Mm-hmm.
I want him there.
He's got to be there. If anything,
I want an update from Springstock when he was there.
Well, and he's got to be there anyway, because we got State of the Newsroom going on Friday night. Now, I don't even know why I'm telling everybody in the Discord.
I was going to say
that's a private event. That's a private event. But
you are not welcome unless you're in the newsroom. I'm going to just put that in there for context.
It's the second biggest party of the summer is the night before day 2 of SummerStock. I'm telling you though, Zach, I wrote one fucking oh shit. I wrote one heck of a speech, and you can tell I'm amped up to give it. I've only shared it to one person. They seem to think it's acceptable. They seem to think it's all right. There may or may not be one F-bomb in it, but it wouldn't be me. Everybody, it's funny. I get in the Discord. I drop one F-bomb, and they're like, oh, my God, the ref swears. If you only knew. I'm amazed, Zach. I think that's only like the second time I slipped up on stream. Luckily, when we record, I could cut it out. But even then, it doesn't happen too often. It's that Detroit in me. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You take the boy out of Detroit, but you can't take the Detroit out of the boy. My man, Friday night, I'm telling you, Zach, it's going to be fun. We're going to have too much fun. I am just looking forward to, this is where I was going. We also have Jared Schuster coming through from the newsroom crew, our Generals correspondent. And
getting a Generals angle.
We got Cheese Soda from Panthers Shadow, USFL Shadow. God, he's going to hate me.
It's Panthers
He's
Shadow.
going to hate me.
It's Panthers
I
Shadow.
get it wrong every time.
We're going to make sure we are not playing that game anymore because I feel bad. It is Panthers
Isn't it
Shadow.
Within the Shadows?
and the thing is, he was at the game. I really would have wanted to go to that game again. Travel's kind of nuts right now because of the holiday weekends here. But Mike, I'm telling you, he was at that game, so he was tweeting the entire time and had options that. But glad that he'll be there. Second year as well, he'll be there at SummerStock as well. But I mean, look, all the guys you expect from our big group of cast that we have, they're all going to be at this event, and so our community section will be. I think it's going to be close to, if not just a bit the largest we've had of any of these shows. I mean, I only say that because SummerStock last year was pretty massive. Right. I know it'll be a stretch because of how USFL Jim got there last year, or XFL Jim, whichever Jim called. If he happens to be there again, I will gladly sit down with that man in persona form once.
So here's what you guys need to do. Everybody in the chat, go on Twitter and tag USFL Jim and say, come on, bud. We want to see you at SummerStock. And make sure you use hashtag SummerStock because it helps us. So sign you up on that. James Larson, I mean, he was kind of big stuff last year, but can we just give him a round of applause for putting it down, you get taking the ball and running.
You get one tweet from The Rock, and then it's over. You're
I know, dude's about to become big time and leave us in the rear view mirror. Hopefully not.
I mean, look, James has had a hell of a year. You're talking. I mean, dude, I think is one of the easily the hardest workers on the group we were in. I mean, dude, taking photos on the sidelines in multiple hubs, getting plenty of questions in at press conferences, late nights. Like last night, last night apparently was kind of nuts. I won't share it on here, but it was kind of wild.
Well, he was going to sleep at like 3:30 my time, and he's Eastern time. So I'm like, geez, it's 4:30. I thought I was up late. Now, I was throwing some bants on Twitter last night. Whatever. The ref says, hey, you know what? The ref says some funny things sometimes. Sometimes I toss it up and I tee it up. Because that's what I did. I mean, I'm not going to go into detail, but last night was one of the funnier nights on Twitter. If you know, you know. Sign us up.
I mean, I had my own. I definitely had my own funny moments on Twitter last night for other reasons that, you know, same deal. Hey, by the way, guys, any questions or any comments, keep on dropping them in the chat. Definitely love to listen to any guys jumping in on commentary about the playoffs here as we go along. We're going to be on for really as long as we can get all our thoughts in, I guess, is the deal, is how I'm looking at this. I do want, let's see, any thoughts, I guess, on the right now for Stallions Breakers?
I mean, the Stallions are the team.
I mean, they are. My other flip, I guess, would be like, if I'm talking about sides, I don't even know what to say about the Breakers, really. Like, the only cue I got was, it seemed like in the third quarter, you had McLeod Bethel Thompson stressing some, funny enough, like EJ Perry, Where are the short routes? Why are we not diversifying the portfolio? Why are we trying to just go for the haymakers when they're protecting deep? And I think that was getting frustrating. It felt like almost like they panicked a little bit offensively. They started out, had a balanced attack, got up by 7, funny enough, and then certainly fact is, got punched in the face a little bit on the next possessions, started going away from the run. Pressure gets to McLeod Bethel-Thompson, miss throws high, miss throws low, and all of a sudden you're down by 15, then by 19, pushing 20, and then you're just in a throwing game, but then you don't start thinking about, oh, wait a minute, we need to actually get in a rhythm. And it's about trying to then speed up the process of catching up. And then you see John Tenuta on defense. I mean, killer. He had that freaking camera shot of Alex Magoo running in a big circle and then just throwing for 10 yards. And he's acting like any defensive coordinator would. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Because you can't do anything at that point.
Magoo was he was on a tear. He was on a tear today. I mean, that's all you could say. Magoo was out there to win this flipping game. So let's take a look at the chat here real quick. So Pierce Sports Production, smoking that NOLA pack, baby. I don't know if he's talking about my vape, but sign me up. Who else we got here? Julian Smith, this will be the Maulers' biggest challenge, how Magoo must avoid interceptions versus the Maulers' secondary. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, the Maulers, it's easy to say. It's easy to count them out because of last year. It's maybe easy to count them out because of their record. But if there's anyone that can shut this team down, it's the number one defense in the USFL. Dave Smith, any special guests next weekend for SummerStock? Oh, boy, do we? Unfortunately, I can't talk about it just yet, but we got some big stuff in the works. I'm drinking, Zach. You know that everything in me wants to leak it, but I can't.
I don't want you spoiling. I'm definitely saying that to cover you. If you is all. We're close to the finish line on ones that it does take extra bits to get gathered, and some of those hinge on how certain schedulings work with the USFL's end. That's the thing. You got to, when you're doing something like this show, you got to give and take and follow along and kind of, I wouldn't say play ball, but you have to have patience on what's going on.
You have to have patience. Yeah. You have to be cool as a cucumber. I mean, it's like showing up to the championship game and getting credentials and never talking positive about the USFL again. I mean, we've all seen it. There's people out there that do that, but that ain't us, because you know what we're here for, Zach? The love of the game, the love of spring football. It could be the XFL, it could be the USFL, it could be me. For the love of football. I mean, I feel like we cover both of these leagues pretty objectively. I love them both, and I can't wait for this game this weekend. Oh, I can't wait. And I can't wait to see all of our community members. I mean, USFL community, like, we're having members of the community on our show that aren't part of the newsroom. That's where all the fun is. Did I mention Angelo? Yeah, I think he was the first one I met. Here's one from Dak Baxter, and I think we covered this, but just for the sake of it, is there any player that can beat Magoo for MVP? I honestly don't think anyone has been more valuable than he has. And you know what, Dak? I think you're right. But Zach, Zach, respond to Dak. What do you think?
It is a very flat and a definitive no for me. I thought that maybe back in week 7 or 8, you still had maybe Mark Thompson up there for maybe like a dark horse pick. McLeod Bethel-Thompson, if things just didn't fall off a little bit, it felt like their offense, because of pressure, it just kind of didn't have the same magic as weeks 1 through 5. And he could never get back to, like, he was, I would say, I think he was leading that offense, but I wouldn't say that he was getting them 100% being an MVP caliber. Definitely one of the better quarterbacks in this league. I can't take that away from him. But you look at Alex Magoo. I mean, we're getting comparisons. He's getting compared mid-season to like Patrick Mahomes in terms of escapability. He's creating running game with his feet, and is one of the more upper tier rushers in the league just by himself if he wanted to. Passing game kept getting better as the year went on. I mean, it's hard to pick someone else. I really don't have any other countering point that makes any logistical sense to pick a different MVP. He's the MVP. He's got to be. If someone wants to bring an argument, I feel free to hear it. But I mean, I think you're pulling at strands right now to kind of find any sort of dink in that argument. He's got to be it, and MVP generally is more supposed to be representing regular season, but like they did save it for the playoffs one more week, and I imagine voters that are part of the league that get to vote on that performance is the final cherry on top to say, okay, we have to give it to him. If you didn't believe in the back end of the year with him, you have to say it now. You can't. You just can't say anything else.
I mean, just think about this. There was probably a lot of there were some Stallions fans that were big worried kind of mid-season, but especially after that first game, Jamar, after having such a stellar outing last season, he ends up injured. Magoo comes in, even though he was the pick. The first pick, he was the starter last year before he got injured. I think there was probably some concern. And you know what? Holy smokes, the dude had one hell of a season. The only probably drawback to that is if you're a Stallions fan is, there's a good chance he might not be back next year because he's going to be somewhere in the NFL, whether it's practice squad, backup, or shoot. There's some teams where I would say he's better than their starting quarterback.
Well, it's the reality we live in, and we luckily get to see him play one more week, and then we'll see what happens, of course. But yeah, that is inevitability. When you get that productive, when you're getting highlights like that, when you're showing off that you can command an offense and you're getting better each week, and that mobility alone, if you have any sort of decent cannon and you can run the way he does, that's salivating for any roster to have, even if it's just to get someone that is to pressure a quarterback as a backup or to see what you can get as a good backup. I don't think anyone's going in saying that, at least right now, if you're wanting to be cautious that he's going to be a starter somewhere, but NFL teams have to be going, okay, this is a tough, tenacious dude. Dude's been beaten up in the ribs all year. Remember, those have been tender all season. He's been tough. He's got that swagger to him. He's got the mobility to him as well. And then you've seen as the years gone on, passing and capabilities as a passer have improved. He's gotten better touch. He's got a very good, basically what I would call almost this is a better term, but like a zing to it. He's got the fast passes down the middle, fastballs as I call them. He's got those down to a T. Long ball's been getting better as well. It's just, it works. So that's a possibility. And of course, several others, we'll see that too. And it's going to come out like that eventually we have to talk about that. But for now, we get to talk about all this great talent that is going to be here once again for another week coming here on July 1st. Something I want to talk about with the Stallions too, because you talked about back at like that first matchup with New Orleans where they lost 5-31. And yeah, the sky kind of felt like it was falling. It felt like it was there. And I think it especially felt that way after they lost to Houston the first time. Like when Houston got the win, I think people were throwing red flags up left and right. Oh no, this is
should.
But you know what they changed? This was something they didn't do well in Houston, and they didn't figure out very well with New Orleans. Is even though Alex Magoo has been getting better all year, they actually got their running game fixed at the end of the season. They are the third best rushing team in the USFL. And you'll get a kicker out of this one. That average is only a yard behind Houston at number 2.
Go. All in.
The best one is the Generals, but remember the Generals leaned on the running game. It was their offense. So CJ Marable and company, Alex Magoo with him, that rushing ability, they found the way to fix the run game that they had lost in Bo Scarborough and Bobby Holly getting knocked out. Couldn't really use the T formation as much. They did try it at times, but you usually want your heavier, bulkier guys, and Skip wanted to have thunder and lightning. He lost all his thunder.
Right.
So he had to counter and basically start making a more lightning-esque run game. And as you saw at the end, as it got through weeks over weeks, RPO is a great way to do a lightning run game. And that's what they've been leaning on a lot of times too. And CJ Marable has been thriving at that spot as a passer and especially as a rusher. Finished top 5 in the league as a rusher this year. He's a talented back. Honestly, it's kind of fascinating because I hope he gets looks too. Running backs, it's harder because they're a competitive position. But they fixed that especially and went under the radar because of Alex Magoo getting his passing accolades down too. But, third in the league rushing, top 5 running back out of there. and a quarterback that was finishing up as one of the better rushers in the league by himself. It's a very deadly package, and their defense adjusted and got healthy at the right time.
Hey, I do have breaking news, Zach. Breaking news. Big
news.
old news. I'm going to share this on the screen. I mean, it's not a big surprise, but we have new merch. New merch over at shopusfl.com. I mean, after the game last night, we saw Mahler's North Division gear, and as expected, we now have Stallions South Division gear. We got a hat. We got a shirt. We have the championship ball, but similar to the division championship, we have a championship shirt too. I might have to pick this one up. Stallions, Maulers with the trophy there in the center. And quite honestly, I might need to pick up one of each of these hats. Because you know me, I'm a hat guy. I love a good hat.
I was really hoping I could pick up a Panthers hat, but, that didn't work out.
You know, you and me both.
Because you can clearly tell I like the white hat. I would have easily, I mean, it's a off-white. I would have had a snapback. I would have thrown that bad boy on. And people, I bet some folks are sitting there going, Zach's not really a hat guy. Is this just because of he's doing this round? I'm like, I don't know, man.
You are now.
Right now, I'm a hat guy.
Telling you, hold your thoughts in. It makes everything better. Good old hat. Hat, man. We can go into the history of hats, but
my neck, though, not my face.
Wrong time, wrong place to go into the history of hats.
Yeah, no, I think we're good with that without a doubt. But yeah, that merch was going to be coming up. You know, I imagine you're going to see here very shortly a post on social of the guys getting their hats like the Maulers did overnight, which actually makes me question, because if the Maulers had their hats ready, that means there were Panthers hats they made for the team.
Hey, speaking of which, if anyone from the league is watching, we'll never show them. But I would love one of those dang hats. I mean, one of those
Store
shirts.
that away for a little bit of history
Exactly.
lesson.
You know what I mean? Don't send them off somewhere that no one's going to see them. Let someone that really wants it. We can have like, Zach, when you and I are feeling down, we can get on the phone with our Panthers North Division Championship hats and think about what could have been. Now, I'll say this, Zach. Okay, last night, that was a tough game to lose.
Oh, I mean, dude, it's time to talk about that more, because
I got some stuff to say.
Go on, please. I don't want to say anything because I still am stewing. I'm not stewing. I'm still dwelling on it a little.
Well, let me ask.
Sleep helped, but
before we get into the game, let me just ask you this: after seeing this game, are you a little bit happier that maybe the Panthers lost, so you don't have to see what potentially could have happened to them on Saturday? Because, I mean, they got a good defense and all. Ooh, but I don't know, man. Those Stallion boys are out for the kill. And, I mean, E.J. Perry, do want to see him back next year. I just don't know if they would be the team that's going to be able to stop the Stallions team. And I don't know if the Maulers can either. But let me ask you that. Better, worse, how you feeling?
Well, I mean, if you want me to pick who I thought had a better shot at taking on Birmingham, it's going to be Pittsburgh. And again, I'll keep reiterating this anytime now, because I do believe, you look at that stat sheet, there's no reason Michigan should have been there. They did a hell of a job at the end in finding an offensive rhythm. E.J. Perry and company kind of settling themselves down after an extremely ugly first half with 3 turnovers and found a way. But sloppy play and discipline doomed them for a few of those drives,
coaching,
along with some quality
and coaching.
Well, I mean, yes, but you got to admit, here's the thing. They adjusted from last time. Now, I think in the grander scheme for next year, that's a talk. I personally think E.J. Perry has a lot involved into how the offense was called. And yes, I know which play you're talking about on that field goal try eventually. Luckily, the field goal was even made, because if they didn't call a timeout even sooner, we could be talking about especially a what if we even got overtime, and I'm glad we did, because Eric Marty almost made me blow a gasket.
Well, he made Eric Perry
having his
blow
offense
a gasket,
ready to play.
You saw Perry out there being like, Marty, what are you doing?
It's just that situational awareness, which, funny enough, I still remember Josh Love panicking and not knowing what to do. And again, remember that audio from back earlier in the season about no one knew what they were going to do. The comms were all mixed up like that. That's on coaching.
Oh yeah.
I'll get it. Like that one play, I'll pull up. I think we can talk about the Panthers at length forward with that, because I do believe we can discuss how that goes ahead into the offseason.
Mhm.
You know, you do get a playoff berth, but at the same point, a lot of stuff that I think are question marks. If you're a Panthers fan, going, how do we get like good?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying the division should be discounted because everyone was 4-6 or below, but it did feel like for 80% of the season, we definitely should be at the eliminated,
Right.
and we'll be talking about 2024. So that's where I'm talking with that, but Pittsburgh definitely is the one to play Birmingham. I said, like, I would have very felt differently if Michigan was in, because I would have gone, we had 142 penalty yards and still
Right.
pulled off a win. That is like, I can be like, that's gutsy, but that's also been the MO for like sloppiness this year. So, okay, we got to go in and play a very clean game when we have not consistently been clean. I would have been like,
You know what?
All of this
You know what
week.
I did like last night, though? Mike Nolan learning that he's got a voice. And boy, oh boy, did he use it. And I'm sure the censors were sweating over there at NBC. He sounded like me when we're not recording, Zach. It was like, F this, F that.
It's broadcast TV.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Cable TV, there's like, I mean, credit, they still get penalized, but broadcast TV, FCC's a little harder on broadcast
Sign Mike
TV.
Nolan up. I want to see that Mike Nolan all next year. And I'll tell you this, Zach, you should be very hopeful for next season, because you brought in EJ Perry week 10, not even week 9, week 10.
Well, okay, I'm with you. My thing is, and what kills me, I love EJ, the way he played, and I think that his vocalness, like, the Panthers need that. If you are going to continue with the same staff next year and be that way, I think you need AJ, because EJ, you saw it, and people that are on the stream, I think, that watched those Panthers games last 2 weeks, saw he got annoyed and vocalized that the offense was not being run in a way that makes sense in terms of the flow of the game. And look what they did. Like, look what they did in 6 quarters. I'll even say 4 if you want to eliminate the first half because of how ugly it was. But they got their stuff in order. It's the best, one of the best they've looked all year. EJ throws for 370 yards because he gets great protection and is a mobile quarterback that can get guys on a line. And for the exception of one fantastic batted ball, he also knows how to arc the ball over the line to where you're not just throwing it over the guy's head where it's just a quick flip of the wrist. That is a thing. You do have to have a proper throwing arc. You can't be shallow on your arcs. That does risk getting a ball batted down. So I want him back, but here's my counter that I'm worried about is he already has connections with the Jaguars, and he's got good film even after this from from preseason last year and from now here. Like, my worry is that he might not come back, which, again, okay, but the selfish side of me would want him back. That's a guy that we need, a vocal leader, and I'm talking a vocal leader that if something's off, you call it out and you get guys to fix the problems.
So I'm reading the Discord. I won't read what they're saying, but it's funny. It's making me laugh. We do have a special request from the Discord. Not that I think Mr. Magoo is watching, but everyone's favorite Mel's in the Discord wants us to say hi to Alex Magoo. There you go. The deed is done. I doubt he's watching, but if he is, she says hi. She'll probably let you pull, so sign you up. Anyway, maybe I shouldn't be drinking while I'm streaming. I don't know. This is why, hey, you know what? We're celebrating tonight, Zach. You have a drink over there?
Oh, good. Not with me immediately.
No, it's good. It's probably for the best.
Yeah. I mean, I'm honestly, what I'm probably going to do, honestly, because I'm a little hungry, I'm probably going to go out and grab a bite to eat after
Filiberto's?
this, and get a few. Maybe. I'm actually debating on, let me think here. Murphy's Law over in Chandler.
I've never heard of it. Is it based off the TV show?
No.
Candace Bergen
it's
behind the counter.
It's no.
I might be dating myself that I even know that show is.
That's what I'll give you. That's what I'll give you.
All right. Hey, Irish pub, sign you up. Can't be mad at that. But man, oh man. Yeah, the Panthers game, hell of a sting last night. The fact that they were able to get it into overtime, you kind of love it. There's some things that they need to work on. I mean, timeouts have been kind of their Achilles heel all season. Because even earlier in the game,
management, really. I mean,
even
Jesus.
early in the game, Mike Nolan's like, "Wait, we called that timeout?" Like, bruh, what is going on? That the head coach is like, doesn't even know that, that's.
Yeah, it's got to be cleaned up. Like, again, I give praise to them getting there, but even if you want to talk with Jake over with Panther Shadow, if he was in this cast right now, both him and I, and even yourself, you are still technically a Panthers fan, even though I know you root for the Gamblers on the other side.
Me? No, all in 12-0, baby, 12-0.
12-0. Yes, you, sir. You are the resident number one Panthers
That is
fan.
true. I am the Panther, the number one Panthers fan.
But if he was here right now, he would be saying the same deal. Like, great finish, but there's probably things that you do have to kind of look at the drawing board next year and kind of say, what can we adjust? Again, I don't know. Like, to me, I think you stabilize, you leave Mike Nolan alone. Leave Mike and Steve Brown alone. I know it's easy to pin everything on specific guys, but I think Mike, to me, he doesn't do offensive side. That's the thing. He is much more defensive. Yes, there are items where you worry about timeouts, you worry about game management, so maybe he's got to improve, or then you worry about that in the offseason as being a knock on him. But I think defensively, that was the thing that they struggled with last year the most and that they couldn't get out of their own way with. And it improved. It was one of the best defenses in the league this year. That is to itself, and credit, new talent will rotate in, but if you can keep Steve Brown and Mike Nolan's still the coach next year, you don't got to worry much about that side of the ball. Recruit the guys you need, make sure you're fitting the spots and guys that work or can come back as you need. That's good. Offensively, get the pieces you can that were working hard during these last few games. So the Trey Quinns, the Marcus Smith, the Marcus Sims of the world. I don't know what the future holds for Stevie Scott or Reggie Corbin or RJ Anderson, or AJ Anderson, but I mean, or Richardson, AJ Richardson, but I mean, you can figure that out as you go, but those are the guys. Like, look for the guys that are they're skill wise, fitting the bill and executing. As much as it pains me to even knock again, I'm only gonna say one line of Joe Walker. I'm sorry you failed us at the end of the year. I wish you had played overall better. You had a great catch in the championship. I'll give you that. But I need guys that don't play hot and cold like that, if that makes any sense. I need a Trey Walker, or Trey Quinn, that is. I need a Trey Quinn at receiver. That guy, he came on and he filled a lot of the shoes for deficiencies that offensive talent that was on there wasn't sticking up for. So that's the guy I need in particular. But we'll find out. I still can't believe that they got that close and it came within 2 innings. Apparently they're called innings. Yeah. I must have missed that in OT, but some folks are like, oh, so we have innings in football now. But yes, OT has innings.
Sign us up. So I got a question for you, Zach. I mean, we talked a lot about season MVP. In both of our opinions, it feels like Alex Magoo is going to get it. He's going to pull it. He's going to bring it home. He's going to seal the deal. I mean, just after his performance today, if the Stallions pull out the game next week, could we see a league and a championship MVP shared by the same person? I mean, very possibly, unless we see it. I guess it depends who's getting those touchdowns for him. If Alex Magoo runs 2 touchdowns in and gets 4 again, I mean, I feel like it's going to be him. Even if he just one in and there's 3 or 4 touchdowns, I think it's going to be him. Unless we see, I don't know, Deion Kane go off or Marable go off, which it looks like he was nursing a little bit of an injury, but he's still being productive today. I mean, Magoo is out for the kill. If he performs like he did today, I think we see double MVP. Magoo VP.
We could. I mean, we could indeed. It obviously comes down to how the game plays out. The heroes of the game. Remember, Victor Bolden got that nod last year for his heroics that he had. Remember the game-winning touchdown catch that he had in that contest. It's great returns in that contest. So all depends. But I mean, there is that high possibility that if you see Alex Magoo out there the way he played tonight, that would be the case. Again, defensive wise, the Maulers are going to do everything in their power to put pressure on him, to play contain on him. If you're going to be blitzing him or getting edge rushers off the edges, to keep him in a pocket rather than letting him escape out of alleys. And you're going to see guys that have been playing excellent in the secondary all season play some of their best ball. That's what's going to be coming out. So I fully expect the best performance from the Maulers in that regard. But it's possible, if Magoo shows up and shines and, is the guy that carries them to victory, you got to slap it on there. Now, it's only been 1 year, but so far modern history says MVP doesn't exactly get the nod because, Kevontae Turpin last year, Generals slump in the North Championship. So one step closer. And again, Magoo hasn't been crowned yet, but we're going to us in theory, we just don't see how there's no way he doesn't get that reward. But that's the thing, possibilities here
right on
for the case. I think so. If you're the Maulers, okay, so we talked defense, offensively, I will give, like I said, I'll reiterate, I get praise for their offense last night, but if I'm looking at the Stallions defense, and I know that Pittsburgh, I would say, rushing wise, it comes down a lot to containing Troy Williams.
Oh, yeah.
But I think a lot of his damage was really done because he would just bail out of a pocket off of a bad pass rush. The Panthers fell for that a lot last night, where they would completely collapse contain on the left or right side of the line. Like the D end would just not hold the outside edge. He would just go in. And then you'd see Troy just go, all right, well, if you're just going to all go to the right, I'm just going to go left. And I'll just take 7 yards. So, if you can get pressure on Troy, is that enough? Or do you think, I don't see the Maulers rush offense outside of Troy Williams being enough to produce, but, Birmingham has had a few instances this year where running backs have had their way. It was earlier in the year, like West Hills, but that's the part I'm asking is, do you muster up another good protection scheme for Troy Williams? And do the Maulers, does John Chavis on the opposite side, who's also an excellent D coordinator, does he offer up a defensive performance that doesn't just let contain break? Does he look at the errors of Steve Brown's unit and go, guys, we really can't just go inside. I need you guys to play contain and let other guys in the interior, our D tackles like Will Yarbury or a Scooby Wright and company, make the pressure themselves up the middle. You got to contain, because that's the thing. Escape alleys, Troy Williams will kill you there. That's their bread and butter, is if the pocket breaks, he goes in. Or if he gets enough time, he can be a decent passer.
Yeah. Either way, I feel like we're going to have a fun game next week. The one thing I don't want to happen, and I really hope this doesn't happen, but it's funny, I think people thought this was going to happen last year. I hope we don't see a blowout. I don't want to see a blowout in the championship. It's not great for anybody. It's not good for the morale of the team getting blown out, surely. But, the league, Fox, and even NBC, because they're broadcasting the game, it's in their best interest to have a nice, close, good old game. And last year, oh boy, did we get it. What was it, 33-3 at the end of it? Or 33-30, 33-30?
Yeah,
sorry.
It was a good, I would say, good game last year. It was 33-30.
Yeah, so, I'm hoping we see that this year. Even if it's a low-scoring game on both sides, I just want a close game. Again, I'm not making my pick, but, God, the underdog in me really wants to see the Maulers do it just from going from worst to first. And, it doesn't hurt them that Jaron is in our Discord. I think I said this off screen, so no curtains. That gives them the 7-point handicap in my book, So here's the thing. Hey, Stallions guys, Skip, get on in the chat, because that's gonna maybe earn you some favors in my picking ability there.
I get enthused if Skip even throws a tweet out.
Right.
He does have a Twitter account that he has follows, but he's one of those guys that you sit there and if you see a tweet, you react because he threw a tweet out. He's not really an insane social media type of guy anyway, but that would be incredible if he somehow jumped on Discord just to jump on Discord.
Oh yeah. Sign him up.
I would very much entertain
Salt
that.
to the earth. We got to get these guys on in the off season. We need to get Jaron on again. I know he was on early before the season. We need to get that guy on. Media Day's coming up. So,
Well, we'll get to talk to him. I hope we'll get to talk to him media day. Credit, it all depends on who they have available. That's up to the league Last year when we had it was from being there, they did head coaches and then they picked out 2 stars, which last year's stars that were there, it was Jamar Smith and Scooby Wright. And then they had, like I said, they had Skip Holtz as well on there. I believe they might actually had a third person. I think Brian Allen was on that one as well, because now that I think about it, they had Skip on. They would do individual coaches, and then they would do 3 players. So like last year's Bart Andrus, and then they had, I believe it was Cookus, Rodriguez, and then I want to say Channing Strip were last year's choices.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I shouldn't be doing double duty, but I'm looking at the Discord. I think we might have to get rid of one of our newsroom staff members. Apparently, Gridiron is a Packers fan. How did nobody tell me this? That's a bannable offense. I hope you're watching because out. Who allowed this man in here? Packers fan, FTP all day and night. But anyway, sorry. You know me, I can't turn down a good Packers bashing. But Aaron Rodgers gone from the NFC North. That's something you and I can both celebrate, Zachy boy. Yeah, there you are. You're in the chat.
I'm happy. Man, he already owns us for time being anyway. I don't need to keep building that stock. He doesn't need to keep building shares.
Ducky, bro. Don't repeat that in the show.
No, I'm not repeating that.
You need to be in the Discord. Links down below.
I'm done looking because I'll end up saying.
No, that, look, it's funny. You'll laugh.
I already looked at it. I know what it is. Good. This isn't me like saying, "Oh, I trust you." No, I read it.
Oh boy.
I double checked. I mean, no, that's
Legend
good.
Ducky comment.
Honestly, like if you went for Jaron's sake, I would easily. We can get Jaron on again. I think he would instantly be down for that. You know. Media day, though, like I said, that'll be fun just to get back to doing that. Always nice to meet up with USFL personnel that are there. Those guys, can't say enough. We're roughly at the end of the 2-year mark with them, with knowing guys from there. And again, they've been nothing but professional. Like, it's been an excellent experience getting to collaborate / getting to know folks in the USFL. I mean, nothing I can say is bad. I really can't. Like, it's been really a well-run professional setup. That simple.
Yeah.
So, you'll never catch me saying that until, at least because I don't think it'll ever go that way where it'll go wrong right now. And it's good. It's really good. As you do double duty.
Well, sorry. And now Logan, another member's wanting to get kicked off in the newsroom team. He thinks the Saints are going to beat the Lions. Restore the roar. I might have to start a Lions podcast in the offseason. I don't know if these guys can handle it, though. James coming in with the FTP, sign him up. See, if you don't like the Packers, join our Discord. You'll love it there. I need to let me just minimize this or I will keep reading this. Sorry, Discord. Sayonara.
Mike G says, would have been epic if the Panthers would have taken on the Stallions. I think there is some argument if you get the EJ Perry that you saw in this Northern Championship. I just wonder if you would see the same. Like, I feel like the Michigan Panthers defense is great, but it's a half step down from Pittsburgh's. That's why I kind of want that, because I feel like even Pittsburgh is become underrated on the offensive side to where they do feel like it is going to be, you're going to sneak up on them. Like, they can keep up in possessions in some way.
Right.
So that's my thought on that. But hey, again, Mike, the fact we were there within overtime's reach, I can't knock that away. So that is incredible. Casey Smiley, and I did see someone else, Gregory Crawford, comment on just the game itself. So Gregory, my Stallions looked really good. Yeah, they did. You put 47 up and, really just had to coast at the end. I mean, that looks pretty good. CK Smiley, I'm sorry if I pronounced that username wrong, but it was allowed in the stadium. Magoo put on a show, Giddy Up. Yeah, that was the largest crowd that they've had in Protective since week 1 of this year.
They packed Protective. That is for sure.
Yeah, the Pack Protective movement that you had guys put on from the fan base, the fan group in particular, the Section 104 folks out there, they did a hell of a job organizing that. Like, and it wasn't just them. Like, you saw local people coming up here. Mayor Woodfin posted on that, saying to Pack Protective. A lot of local guys getting in on the action with that. Great job. And added to the atmosphere. Felt like a playoff game. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Like, really. And that's again, we expect that from a home team playoff game, and speaking on that, it was not just that one, but both. You've had players that were at Northern Hub and people there at the Northern Hub saying, hey, this was a good crowd. I had Toby Johnson, who was saying that was, to him, he thought it was the largest crowd was at the Hub all season.
Oh, and I mean,
and it's
absolutely a good thing, because we're talking about a Hub with no home teams. So we have a couple more comments. Chris Mason, nephew of Buddy's Pizza owner, original Buddy's Pizza owner. See, I remember things. See, this is why I wear the hat. It holds my thoughts in.
So
Magoo is the MFVP. And he also says, shout out, another one bites the dust. But again, if Magoo's listening, I mean, I'm telling you, you know who should join our Discord? It's Mr. Magoo. Because I'm telling you,
I wonder if he talks smack like online like he would in person. I mean, usually you'd think that is if you walk the walk and talk the talk, you do it both sides, but I don't know how well he is as a social media guy.
I mean, he might be seeing.
Some guys are just in the now. Some guys are digitally always in the now.
Well, he might have hearts in his eyes. He might be joining the simp army if he joins our Discord, because I'll tell you what, we know.
My new nickname for him, based on his walk up today with his outfit, I posted it on Twitter. I am going to keep calling him Swag Messiah, because it is man was dressed to the nines. Looked like I was borderline going to call him Swag Jesus, because he looked like he was going to be going and blessing the Stallions fans out in the
So you're saying he didn't look like what I thought he looked like in the Discord. I don't know if you saw that one. It was Mel's. Of course it was Mel's talking about Magoo in there. She said, could somebody post a picture of his how he showed up to the stadium? Did you see what I posted, Zach?
No, I don't think
posted a picture of a clown. Boy, was I wrong. But we could blame. You know who we could blame for that one? Is our good friend USFL Mike, who you joined the other day. I mean, that dude, every time he picks a team, they're gonna lose. Now, I will say, Stallions fans, you might be big worried, because we have Stallions Mike in the chat now. And that seems to be the kiss of death. He did it to me with the Gamblers, so I'm not too fond of that one. He did it to the Breakers tonight. And you know what? He might just do it to the Maulers next week. We'll have to see. Maybe he's got a thing going for him. I don't know. What a night. I mean, I said it week 4. I can't believe we're at week 4, week 5, week 6. I said it last week. Week 10. Now we're at the end of the playoffs. We know what our championship's going to be. We got the Maulers. We got the Stallions. We've already seen tickets seem to be flying off the shelves there for Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium come this Saturday.
It has been going pretty well. Actually, it's funny if you want to talk about successes with tickets. Something that I was surprised at, because when I was looking at the tickets, again, those that aren't in the know, that I am a Ticketmaster junkie.
Right.
I love check. I get to the point where I check Ticketmaster where they think I'm a bot. They'll go, "Are you a bot?" They
think you're out there to go scoop all of those Taylor Swift tickets up.
Yeah, they'll be like, something's weird with your browser. Either you're a bot, a speed user, or something's off with the location on your IP. And I'm like, wow, I almost feel like it's a compliment to be called a speed a speed user on Ticketmaster.
Well, they saw that you were in Arizona. They're like, but that's a different type of speed user. But maybe this is why I shouldn't drink when I'm streaming, Zach. I don't know. Hey,
exit the stage left.
Here, let me just put on the glasses here. So no, this isn't the ref. What are you talking about?
This is Jeff.
Yeah, this is the Jeff. Sign me up. Sign me up all day and night. I like this look. Like I said, it's not much different. Just a little bit of a mustache and fluffy eyebrows. But I think I could probably walk around and people would just say, "Oh, ref, you got glasses?" Well, like, you didn't notice the nose. Come on.
Oh my God, it's one of the Marx brothers.
Oh man, they call me Sloucho.
Sloucho. But to finish my thought, they apparently according to Brett Zaleski, he claimed that they had sold out of suite tickets for the Northern Championship. Because when I went and I saw the tickets, I thought they just weren't selling suite tickets. They sold out of them. So, definitely got their money's worth out of that for folks that went there. But yeah, no, tickets are going, at least from what I'm seeing, it's going solid. I do wonder if they'll open the second deck again like they had last year, because that's the thing. It is a little bit more expensive than last year, but still, it's only a few more bucks for adults. It's $25. So,
well, and I mean, you compare that to an NFL game.
It was $20 last year to get in. You only got to pay $5 more, and you now know it's a good product from last year's game. So, you're not taking a gamble or anything.
JP's got a good point. He's right. My name is Jeff.
My name is
Jeff. That's right. Hey, you know what? Thanks for this. I'm stealing that. That is mine. 22 Jump Street. Old memes are the best memes. I only like memes when they're old. When that's in style, I don't like it. 3 years after the fact, my name is Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Sign me up.
Very nice. I know that's a different new movie.
I might shoot. I almost swore again, but shoot, I might show up to SummerStock in this getup.
Just get a bunch of Jeff-isms for your alter ego.
Well, I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna show up with Jeff Bezos. I'm not gonna skip my flight. We're gonna take a rocket there. My name is Jeff. What other Jeffs are there? There's a lot of them. I can't think of any of them right now. But me and Jeff Bezos, sign us up. Rocketing in.
Jeff Dunham, you need to get a puppet now.
Oh man, I really don't want to, but I will for the bit. Don't make me. I will get a puppet. I'm not a Dunham head. I think that's what their fans call themselves. They probably don't.
Right. Here's one that I do find. I don't know. I mean, sure, we'll debate it again. You know how I am with. We talk XFL every now and then because it's a rival league, but I do think. We'll maybe say something about it, but Mike brings up a point. So was the attendance in Canton last night approaching Vipers level or better?
I think it's better.
It was hard to tell on TV. I mean, I think so. Like here, they don't report numbers, but it's also because at least the way that we've interpreted it, nothing like the league said or anything. It's how we've interpreted it, by the way, is like, you see any press that's good on attendance numbers that are low? Like, I think there's people out there that sit and wait for low attendance numbers. Like you can gauge it. If you want to talk about it, that's fine. I think there are people that wait for like exact numbers and they want to play that game. But I think for the hub's sake, it was definitely the best attendance I think they had at their hub all year. Again, if you sold all your suite tickets, that means that's a step that you did go farther there.
Well, let me just say something.
Yeah.
Even if that crowd had 0 people in it, it would not negate the fact that was one hell of a game.
And that's the more important point.
And did solid in the ratings, it seems like, from the early numbers.
That is the more important point of what I think a lot of people seem to miss out of this, is that the game does matter a lot. And again, it's a TV product first. They have increased their ticket sales this year. Mission accomplished, by the way. Absolutely.
And the big chunky doggies here. Nova, say hi to everybody. We're having fun over here.
Good dog.
So Chris Mason, he has a question in the chat. Will Canton get the 19th or a 9th team? It's funny because I spoke about this on the Tom Abraham show. Shout out, because I always forget to mention Tom Abraham was such a big help to us early on in when we first started this podcast. I mean, there might not be a spring stock or, even a summer stock, even though he wasn't involved in that, had it not been for Tom Abraham and the Tom Abraham show. 97.7, one of those.
97.7 Tennessee, ESPN 10 Tennessee Valley.
Sign him up. So shout out to him. But, he asked me, he said, what do you think? Canton seems to be doing well for the league. They don't have a home team there. Do you think we'll see them repackage one of the teams similar to like what we saw with the Tampa Bay Bandits moving to Memphis? And interestingly enough, I had speculated on the show that, I haven't heard anything from the league, nothing official, but you would have to assume somewhere the conversation has been had of, well, people are showing up to these games where there's no home teams, more so than you see with the away teams in the other hubs. Mm-hmm. When does that discussion start and stop? Will it be a movement of a team? Will it be an expansion? And it's hard to say either way. But I feel like I'd be silly not to think that discussion hasn't happened within the USFL of, do we just put a team here? And I feel like if I had to put money on it, I feel like it's something that we'll see. And then interestingly enough, Zach, we saw the president or CEO or president and CEO, I can't remember which, of the Hall of Fame Village put out a post on the USFL where he says, we're going to try to make it, quote, impossible for the USFL to leave. So, that tells me they're on board, right? That's what we saw Memphis get in on the mix, is they were on board.
I think that was a cheeky remark to put it in a way that implies anything. And again, it's all speculative.
Speculation
we aren't
zone.
Even at the, it's very, live stream speculation zone has arrived. We will touch on that because I think that was, no matter what, we were going to have to discuss it at some point. So why not do it right now? Here's the thing that I think is good for that. If that's the case, you have a 2-year relationship already. And this year you had a hub where, you got people to come out for the Maulers. You got people even coming out for the Generals, for crying out loud. Mm-hmm. I thought that was what was great was there were Generals games. I was like, I'm actually surprised how many people are here for New Jersey with New Jersey gear. When they announced New Jersey and Pittsburgh, I went, and I know that Philadelphia and Michigan was the rivalry from the 80s, but I went, why didn't you flip the teams around a little bit? Put the Pennsylvania teams together. Wow. And you know what? I don't even think that anymore because it's funny. The Generals, for being a large market team, people hate, or I won't say hate on, but they always get down on the large market teams in spring ball because they aren't, the smaller ones seem to bring crowds. But New Jersey draws on TV.
Well, and here's something else to add into the mix. So I was speaking with Angelo from USFL Today, and he had an interesting take. Right, because he was out at some of those early games in Canton. He started talking to the fans, started talking to people in the crowd, and he noticed the same thing. It seems like they were drawing more Generals fans than Maulers fans. And at first you might think, well, that's kind of weird because Pittsburgh is right around the corner. Well, right around the corner, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours max.
It's technically down the road. It's northeast Ohio and and northwest Pennsylvania. It's it's right down the road. Like that was the argument for Canton was like, you can still draw from that city and you can possibly draw from Cleveland if you had people that were interested.
Right. Well, here was his takeaway. And this actually makes sense. People in Canton, Ohio don't like the Steelers. They don't like the Pittsburgh teams. And you might say, well, they're close in proximity. Well, so is Detroit. And I would never root for the Browns or the Bengals or any of or can I be honest? Ohio ever at all? So you know what? That kind of makes sense. So when put in a position, well, who are we going to root for? If your default is we hate Pittsburgh, well, the Generals are getting that love, right? And so, going into the season, I think we all had this impression of, well, it's close enough. People from Pittsburgh will travel, which I think, though, now that we're in the championship, just like we saw the Stars fans show up in mass last year, I think there's a good opportunity for these Maulers fans to show up too. And I mean, we don't know what season 3 is going to look like. We don't know if it's going to be the same 4 hubs, if we're going to see an expansion. But I mean, let's say that the Maulers do move into market next year. A championship win this year could play dividends in 2024.
Could.
Going back to Canton, would I rather see a team get repackaged or would I rather see them expand? I'm going to say I'd rather see them expand. What does that make the schedule look like? Well, I don't know, right? We already see a little bit wonky in Canada with the 9 teams.
Yeah, you almost would need to add a 10th. Look, your worry would be, you'd have to expand the schedule.
Right, yeah, would have
if you had 9, you have to expand it. And I don't think the league wants to do that yet because you have competition, and the way they are putting it, this is my thought on this, is that if you can go earlier in if you want, but then you have more weeks you're competing with 2 leagues. You don't want to do that. No TV company wants to do that and compete in the same spot for what is still a niche sport in most regards. So you can't do that. but you also can't go much forward because you're in July. And honestly, now with the USFL PA, if you introduce that, they probably will make a stink about that and say, hey, now we are trying to, it's not, yes, we have our members we're protecting, but if the mission for the league is to get guys going to the NFL, well, you just took weeks away from them getting rest. Like, that's where you're getting into a slippery slope. So, like, you almost have to think about, if you're going to do it, it's either a 10th or you switch one out. Now, Mike G here brings up a good point. For how New Jersey's drawing, and credit, I don't think it's Canton audience that's putting in those numbers when New Jersey's thrown on TV. So you can't can the Generals. The Generals stick. They that brand stays. Honestly, out of all the USFL brands, like in terms of retro appeal, you can make a good, bold case that one is up there with the Michigan Panthers. The Stallions actually have, I think, are up there as one of the top ones too. But New Jersey, like, if you ask USFL, a lot of people will say New Jersey is one they'll remember. So you stick with the Generals, and then you figure out what you're doing in Canton. And there are options. The Maulers is one. This is hypothetical, so Maulers fans in this chat don't get angry, but hypothetically, you could say, hey, move one here to Canton and you stay with 8. And then if you do expansion, I think then you ask the question of, do we bring a brand new expansion market in, or do we revive Tampa Bay? Like, that's what you would do. You have Tampa Bay in your back pocket, which you could hub unless you find a good deal. But, that's what I think you would have to do, unless you have confidence that you can get another good deal somewhere else, or revive a brand that you think can hub for a year, unless you feel like you can get all teams and markets this year, which I'm being cautious on the all teams and markets, because the league has kept stating, and I am very much against, again, with this plan, is if it makes sense, do it.
Well, I think that, I might be the only one. And you know what? Some people call me a shill. It is what it is. I don't really care. Get over it. If this makes sure that we have a USFL season 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 20, 30, 40, 50, playing a flipping hub. Playing a hub. Not forever. No. But
and the end goal's still not forever. It's all about, like I said, every year you want to grow, but it's responsible. That's what I keep trying to hammer. We keep trying to hammer home. You can grow every year in a capacity without having to break the bank, is how it is, and still build upon your product. It's only year 2. This isn't like we're in year 20 and it's like, okay, guys, when are we getting all these teams? Like, no, like, come on now. Like, we're in year 2. We are lucky to get a year 2. Next year we'll tie the original USFL's 3 seasons.
And I'll be honest,
that will be an accomplishment next year if we finish year 3 and then go year 4. Here we go. We've lasted longer than even that.
Let me break down a scenario that I could see happening. I think season 3, there's still hubs. We talked about that. I just feel like that's how it's going to roll out. But there's also, rights deals being negotiated. So I don't, realistically, if we were going to expand,
you have to talk
change
NBC.
Schedule, I think that gets wrapped up into these rights deals, right? And so where that happens,
that's lingering too. Is the whole theory that has been talked about since Yahoo Sports wrote up about the original rights deal, and the fact they are getting paid a rights fee as well, to clarify, is that it was understood that it was 3 years. So, hey, year 3's next year. And as we've talked on this show, and if you want to look at sports trends, you start negotiating now. Like, a year before your deal's done, you better start at least beginning talks. You can't go in, finish the 3rd season, and then go, so you want to come to the table? Because then at that point, there's too much pressure. Deals can then be at more risk of being broken apart because, well, if it's not making sense for us, then sorry, you had earlier chances to talk. We're out. Expect some discussion on like Sports Business Journal, Sportico, that you're going to see NBC and Fox go to the negotiating table and probably start discussing, do we get an extension done? And if they do, then you can feel even better about the league, because that means NBC went, hell yeah, I'm re-upping. And then, that sky's the limit for that point for the television, then it's about continuing to build the base that those two have been committing to for 2 years going on 3.
And I'm going to break down a scenario that maybe some people have talked about before, but I could see being a reality. I could see expansion before even all teams are in the hubs, or maybe the teams get out of the hubs and into their local markets, but we still have a hub for, let's say, 2 new teams, right? So that's a real scenario that I could see happening. Will we see expansion in season 3? Maybe, sure, maybe. Don't think so. I think it's going to come season 4 at the earliest. At the earliest.
Yes, if you don't in 3, 4 is going to happen. I think that's absolutely the case. I'll throw my whole spiel of what I want to see next year if I were getting wishful thinking. I think next year, wishful thinking, you get in the South, New Orleans moves into their hub, and that is like the definitive must happen this season. New Orleans in metrics of sales, when you go on the website, when you look at their social media engagements, it is one of the best teams that is like screaming, we want to have you there. And so they missed out on it last year or this season, probably because they couldn't, they wanted other deals to get done. Memphis was a big one for them. Detroit, that's a big one. Those are big partnerships that they needed to get done. With guys from FedEx, guys from Rocket Mortgage, Dan, you talk with Dan Gilbert, you better give Dan Gilbert time. You talk with Fred Smith and company who from the sounds of it was the one that helped to facilitate all this. You better talk with Fred Smith and the Memphis and city officials. So you got to put those efforts in. Now you have those relationships. Great. Now you can spend time next year. You have established relationships with people in those cities. Now let's go talk and see if there's someone in New Orleans who is also looking, going, hey, how do we get in, say, Yeoman Field? Like, is anyone are you interested? We have many examples 2 years in a row now of bringing economic growth during this time of year. We give back to our communities and all that. We're, big into family-friendly experiences. How can we bring that to you? And New Orleans, to me, has to be their main target. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. I think that they get to New Orleans. I think that if I'm looking at the South, I don't know about Houston in terms of what they do 100% on in-market or hubbing it. I will put my foot down. Do not switch out the gamblers. I don't want
They're not
them to
getting
be
switched out. I don't know where everybody gets these funny boy ideas. All in 24, 36-0. I take it back. 36-0, 3 straight seasons, no losses. And that's the team you want to move. Austin, Texas, Zach, make me laugh some more. First, Austin, Texas ain't showing up to a spring football game. Let's just say that. 2.
You live in Houston and you still are within travel distance, so you would know between the big cities like Austin, Dallas, and San Antonio. Although I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, let's go into 2 other additional XFL markets right now and compete with XFL teams again. Like Houston right now, that's, I think, the biggest driving force is, well, the Roughnecks are in Houston. Like, you aren't even in a stadium. Let's just get the hell out. Like, and I'm like, yes, but you have a different style of business and package. And as you point out to me, there's tons of venues around Houston that you can go to in different neighborhoods you can market.
Many neighborhoods, so many stadiums. Like I said, it's funny. A lot of people gave the XFL a hard time about potentially moving into a high school stadium for the Vegas Vipers. And maybe that is funny when it comes to Vegas. I'll tell you, it ain't a joke in Texas, dude. These people take high school football seriously. I know of at least 2, maybe 3 high school stadiums within the Houston metro area that hold over 20,000 people. The problem, the issue, if you will, is that, clearly they're high school football. They're not really fit for TV, right?
Well, and alcohol sales, I think, would also be something. How do you cross that
Zach,
line?
I'll tell you, this is Texas, bro. You can buy a beer everywhere. They got beer at high school games.
Even a high school football
100%,
game?
buddy. Because it's mostly old dudes going to these games. Like, this is like a little section of family, and then everybody else that's there to watch more football. They got beer. So what they do, it's similar to, you probably haven't been to Sun Devil Stadium yet, but
I have not.
They split it up.
I passed by it. That is the most I can
They
give
split
you.
it up. So only some sections of the stadium you can buy beer in. And so,
okay, but that's college.
Yeah,
though.
but I think that I'm fairly certain that's how they have it set up here at the high school stadiums, where you have to be in a certain area to even have access to a beer station. And even then, they will have beer. This is Texas, bro. And this was like an anomaly when I first came to Texas, even before I first moved. You could buy beer everywhere. They have like bars. This is funny because now I think at movie theaters nationwide, you can get a beer, right? That's like
I mean, AMC, I know for a fact they've added bars like in pretty much a lot of their theaters.
That was not a thing before.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, you couldn't just buy a beer at a movie theater. So when I came to Texas and they had a full bar, hard liquor, beer, all of it, I was like, what is this? And my friend told me, he's like, this is Texas. There's beer everywhere. You're going to get a beer everywhere. And I'll say it, I'll reiterate that high school, this could be, well, I don't know this as a fact, but I'll say I would wager even at a middle school game, you're finding a beer somehow, some way. Texas like football, they like their beer. You can't buy, well,
right.
You can't buy liquor on Sunday, but that's a good thing. Liquor's bad for you, Zach.
Well, I mean, hey, look, I lived in Indiana most of my life, and up until I think it was 2018, they had that law. And then they changed it to you can buy it at noon on Sunday, and noon to 8. They at least got that. And it was like one of the biggest like news stories in the state ever was that they had switched that law over. I have a photo of me buying a fifth of Red Stag on a Sunday. And it's just a random photo of me holding a fifth of Red Stag in the parking lot. Like if I didn't know what it was, or if I forget what that picture is, I'm like, why did I take this? And I'll probably delete it someday for knowing that.
Hey, so I know the answer, but still, just for the sake, because we're not going to record until, so actually real quick, there's going to be no episode on Friday this week. We might have some interviews dropping from Media Day because we're doing SummerStock on Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Sign you up. If you can't make it, we're also on YouTube. So, and the stream's up. So you hit the reminder now, hit the notification. But question of the week, Zach, question of the week. I already know the answer, but I'm gonna set you up for an easy one here.
Ooh, softball.
Did you put your cards in your bag?
I did, because I took photos and you were on the phone with me last night to do the cards in the bag. It's zipped up. I haven't moved them out of the bag.
No curtains. The fans don't know that. The people listening.
Yeah, I know, but the emphasis is because I had to go through the phone call. Yeah. And I knew if I left that phone call and you came on here and said, we talked on the phone, Zach.
I made you do it too. I said, no, just do it now.
Yeah. It's in the suitcase. There's no way I'm forgetting it. I'm not moving out of the suitcase. Like, it's staying in that spot. So, it's there. They will be at the table and in my pocket. I'll throw them around the local places in Canton, Ohio. We'll have a jubilee. We'll have cards raining down from the highest buildings in Canton, Ohio, or maybe Cleveland when I land there, because there's skyscrapers. At least I can throw them and let them just kind of flutter. Is all I can say. Real quick, because I like this point here with Mike G. Austin is an untapped market. Why not risk it? They already have 3 suitable stadiums.
Because it's Austin.
And well, there's that point. My thing is if you do it, here's my counterpoint. Okay, you move to Austin, but you're not going to take the Gamblers brand to Austin. You're going to become the Austin Wranglers.
Something.
I will not accept them as the Austin Gamblers. Yeah. I'm sorry, because you have the Gamblers brand is also a good retro brand. Keep it, work on it. But if you really think you have a deal in Austin, change the name.
Yeah. I mean, I joke. It's, in Texas, like when I grew up in Michigan, it was like a built-in rivalry to talk smack about Ohio. In Texas, because we're so big, right? It's just a built-in rivalry. You just automatically smack talk the other cities. So naturally, like Dallas, ugh, gross, Dallas, get it off of me. I feel the same way about Austin. I feel the same way about San Antonio. Funny enough, though, Zach, if one of those teams are in the championship, all of a sudden, hey, they're Texan. I'm on board. So, it's during the season, I'll kill you. Postseason, if your team's not there, you're like, well, if it's from Texas, I'm rooting for it, because Texans, they love football. And I'll tell you, I can't wait until the Gamblers get into market. But to your point, if they get to New Orleans, I'm just as happy, because that's like a 4.5 hour drive from where I'm at. And I'll tell you, that's a lot better than the 12 hours to Birmingham, the 14 to Memphis, and the 20 plus hours to Detroit.
On your you'll have a good time. That's a party city. That's a food city. Like those folks down there, we'll get to meet up with the USFL show guys.
Oh, that'll be a blast, dude.
I mean, that's the thing. Like New Orleans it's not even like I'm hoping for it. It is a baseline. You have to go there next year. I will be disappointed if the league doesn't find a way to get there, because they've seen 2 years in a row now, hey, this is a market that's like you have a news station covering them without any team in market. And I know that sounds like weird. Why is that a big deal? Because they actively, everyone else for the most part, they only cover if it's in market. Like Birmingham, Detroit this year did a good job. Memphis did a really good job covering teams, radio and television. Canton markets in terms of digital, they covered those teams that were there. Believeland Media was big. They had Boogie Roberts as one of their main guys for the Cleveland Sports Talk, for their Cleveland Sports Talk show, and he did a great job. So in market stuff is great, but out of market, it's not much, because again, as a lot of news outlets will go, if you're not in market, it's kind of less to talk about if you can't engage with people that will be interested. But you know what WGNO New Orleans did? They did weekly interviews with John DeFilippo. They did these last year with Larry Fedora, Aaron Lee, and Ed Daniels, 2 great journalists over there that work for WGNO ABC. They put their work in. Like, this is a market that's like basically saying, please bring us a team. That's why I'm saying you have to do it. There's no maybe, there is, you have to. That is the one market where I know I've talked plan, but I'm going to say that's the one where I'll be like, if you can even somewhat justify it, move it into the plan and make it fit, mold it in somehow. It's there. They want you there. Go to New Orleans.
I'll be happy.
That
sign me up. Like I said, it'll be the closest team to me. So, I'll be there. I'll be there probably too much. I'll be living in New Orleans. Sorry, USFL show guys. You're going to have a new roommate for like 10 weeks. Maybe even in the playoffs, depending on what happens. But I mean, I'm super excited about this game coming up. I think we probably talked about everything we could talk about.
I don't have much else to say game-wise. I mean, Phil.
Oh, yeah. So I'll reiterate a couple things. Hey, no show this Friday. We might have some interviews from USFL Championship Media Day. But Saturday, the biggest party of the summer, SummerStock II, pregame show and tailgate, live from Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, right by the entrance. We're not hidden off in the corner like some plebs. We're going to be there front and center. Come and join us. We're going to have some big guests, actually good guests, good times, and giveaways. I still got to figure out, this is a conversation I'll probably have tomorrow. We're planning on grilling. We'll have to see if we have permission to do so. If it's, me, Zach, if it's up to me, we'll just start grilling until someone says no. But at the same time, they were so gracious to us to give us a nice spot that I know this is crazy. I might have to, hold on. Let me just put these glasses on so this isn't attributed to me. We might follow the rules on this one, guys. So if there's no grill, I'm sorry. But we will have a cooler full of, pop or soda, as some of you kids call it, water, all sorts of beverages, non-alcoholic, because I'm not carding. I'm not going to be responsible for that. But feel free to bring your own booze. I can't knock you. Can't be mad at that. 3 p.m. Eastern. We got Community Gauntlet. We're going to have some stuff from Media Day. And stay tuned to social media this week at USFL Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even the TikTok, which we have the SummerStock dance planned up, which I'll teach you when we get out there. But make sure you stay tuned to the social media accounts, because we're going to be dropping, once we get confirmation on some of these guests that are in the works. Oh, and you won't want to miss it. And you know what? We get it. If you can't make it to Canton, Ohio, some of you folks, it's a far, far drive. Did you see the guy who's watching from Patagonia earlier? Oh, my God. Sign that guy up. Now, that's a fan. I need to get him on the newsroom crew. But if you can't make it to Canton, we get it.
International.
Exactly
section.
right. Hey, maybe he watches the ELF and we'll get him on that one. But hey, you can't make it to Canton. We get it. We're also going to be over here on YouTube, which we're at right now, which is a great reason you should subscribe. Click the bell. It builds morale. And it also lets you know when we're going live, just like this weekend for SummerStock II. But that's just day 2. I skipped over day 1. 5 p.m. Eastern, we're all meeting up at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, June 30th, to go look at history before we make history the next day. Zach, I couldn't be more fired up. I wish I was in Canton, Ohio right now. I won't joke about it because somebody may or may not have said to not joke about shooting off fireworks at SummerStock. So we won't have fireworks.
Yeah,
and don't bring fireworks. Don't bring fireworks. I might be in trouble for joking about that before. But if it's in Houston, I'm telling you, if you move that market to Houston, boy, oh boy, we're shooting off more than fireworks. I'll tell you that much. Zach, any last thoughts before we ride into the sunset and head towards the second consecutive USFL Championship in the modern era?
See you at SummerStock, everybody. Going to be a blast. Plenty of fun, exciting things as well for the show ahead. Not just for this coming end of the year, but year 3 in general. We're already talking about next year too, by the way. And we're going to keep building the show, much like how the league keeps building on itself. We take that motto and we're looking to build just the same. Get excited if you are a fan already. It's only going to keep getting better. That's all I can tell you.
I always equate us to the little engine that could. I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. As we're crossing that mountain, and like you said, Zach, the league is getting bigger, and we plan to keep building the show. I mean, even if you compare, and I did. If you compare our shows from season 1 to season 2, I think we did a little bit better. I think it's a little bit cleaner. It's a little bit more touched up and polished. And year 3 will be no different. But I think that's all we got, Zach. Now I can actually finish packing because I can put away all my audio equipment.
Right. You can get ready to go.
I'm looking forward to it.
By the way, final vote count for the guys in the chat. 34 votes submitted. Stallions lead in the vote. 74% of you think that the Stallions are going to repeat this year. I mean, I wouldn't blame you given what you just saw this evening.
Can't be mad at that at all. But I think that's it. I think we'll leave it at that, guys. So until next time, sign you up.
Low self-esteem is like a virus. You catch it from other people. Low self-esteem is like a virus. You catch it from other people. You didn't get your low self-esteem necessarily because you were born with it. I mean, it's got to be a genetic component here. But mostly it comes from narcissists who have their own broken self-esteem, and they want you to have a broken self-esteem. And if you don't have it, they're going to give it to you. You catch it from other people, and you can get rid of it. Just like you can get rid of it. Right? Low self-esteem is like a virus. You catch it from other people. Low self-esteem is like a virus. You catch it from other people. You do have a constitution. You do have immunity. But it takes a little while, just like getting cold. And the cold wins for a while, and then your natural immunity takes over. Your natural immunity can get you away from this low self-esteem that you caught from other people. It's not in you. It's something you caught. And you're going to beat the shit out of it. like your immune system will beat the shit out of you.
Tom Hanks was it.
99% of you plus. Low self-esteem is like a virus.